where you want it.
Bay 12, please.
Hello there, Transformers fans, and welcome back to another Bay 12 video review. And today we are reviewing the Transformers Studio Series number 101. We broke 100 with Bumblebee. Now we have our first figure of the 100s. And they picked a really cool character to do it with. So here we have Scourge, the main antagonist, or at least so we think, of the upcoming Transformers Rise of the Beasts film. So here he is. He is a leader class. He comes in that big no window box. Although I really like the artwork for Scourge right there. Very action-packed looking. I like how it looks like his chest is just inflamed. Not like swollen or anything like that. I mean actually on fire on the inside. On the side you got some more artwork. On this side, number 101, and some close-up artwork. And on the back, you've got some words and things, some product shots, and that's pretty much it for the packaging. And of course, we have that awesome Studio Series backdrop. Looks like it's those same ruins that we got with the Battle Trap figure. And there is Scourge on that. And in case I haven't already said it, a very sweet design, a very awesome bad guy Scourge design. I'm very excited for this movie, and I'm very excited to see Scourge in action. And here is Scourge right out of the box, nice and close up. I love this design. I really love this design. Like I already said, I'm very excited to see this character in action. And I'm also very excited to unravel the mysteries of this character. Who really is Scourge? Is he a Nemesis Prime? Is he a Herald of Unicron? Is he both? Is he just some other character who just has this awesome design? Who knows? Because we certainly don't know yet, and we likely won't know anything more until the film comes out in June. But it's getting closer and closer to that release, and of course, I'm just getting more and more excited as the days go by. Here he is next to his fellow Studio Series Terrorcons we have so far, both Battle Trap and Freezer, so you can see the three we have so far. Now, of the Terrorcons we're aware of, we're only missing one, and that, of course, is Nightbird. Now, Nightbird does have a mainline figure that has already been revealed and has already been found in the Buzzworthy Bumblebee 3-pack with the mainline Cheetor and mainline Wheeljack figures. However, no official reveal, to my knowledge yet at least, of the upcoming Studio Series Nightbird, and we are supposed to be getting a Studio Series Nightbird at some point in the future as well. But for now, here are the three Terrorcons we have so far. I love how absolutely big this guy is. He is very tall. I really like his left hand, how he's got these really long fingers. Now, while it looks like these fingers are all individually jointed, and of course they are individually jointed, these joints do not have any individual articulation, which is kind of a shame. When we were looking at all the promo pictures and earlier reveals of this guy, it did seem as though these fingers would be individually articulated, but the sad truth is they're not. And I think that's kind of a shame. I think it would have been just a little better and not too terribly difficult for Hasbro if they had just done individual jointed articulation. They could have done just simple, soft rubbery plastic hinge joints that just clip into each other. So as to cut down on budget, as to cut down on cost, rather than just have these cool fingers just fold up like this. And this is how they fold up for Transformation 2. So I'll kind of get to that gripe after we cover Transformation, but when he's in truck mode, his hands just kind of stick out the back, which is one of my biggest complaints about this figure, despite how awesome it is. And I don't know, it just looks kind of weird and not great like that. Just saying. He does have this really cool feature, however, where you can pull his left arm off because it transforms into a cannon, apparently, and swap it with his cannon. So he has a cannon arm for his left arm. He also has this really awesome blade on his right arm. I really, really dig this. It's got some cool textures, cracks, and things in it. Does have some cool articulation, even on this hinge right here. So you could kind of have it out to the side or up like so. Or you can open his fingers and clip it into his hand, and he can wield it like a sword. And not just that, it's a sword that he can't really be disarmed from because, one, it's attached to him, and now it's got extra support by being held by his hand. Now, while his hand is in cannon mode, you can store his regular robot mode arm. There is a rectangular peg hole right there. There's a rectangular peg right there on his back, and you can just plug that into his back, and you can store his robot mode arm while you have his arm in cannon mode, and vice versa. If you swap these out, put his arm back on, there we go. You can store this. There is a rectangular hole on the back of his waist. There is a rectangular peg right there, and you can store his cannon arm on his butt. But it actually looks better with his cannon in storage than it does with his arm just kind of hanging off of his back. Just saying. Now, not that I'm complaining that Hasbro tried to incorporate some kind of storage in case you like to swap out your accessories. This just looks better from behind than having this dangling from behind is all I'm trying to say. Getting into the detail, I absolutely love that face design. I like that we're doing another character with their factional symbol as their faceplate, which looks really cool. Now, unfortunately, while as awesome as this figure is, it doesn't quite capture all of that detail of the character design as we'll see it on film. And what I mean by that are some of the little details that have been making different Transformers fans' minds wander a little bit. Because I got to talk about the fan theories, right? There's a lot of fan theories as to who Scourge could be. And the most interesting one, I think, is that Scourge is actually Optimus Prime from the Bayverse timeline of the live-action films. And I'm actually okay with that, because the Nightverse or Bumblebeeverse and the Bayverse are definitely separate timelines. But they could still be set in the same universe, multiverse, whatever you want to call it, if this is maybe Optimus from the future timeline of post The Last Night, where Unicron fully awakens and they lose. And then he becomes Unicron's new herald, he becomes Scourge, and leader of the Terrorcons, and he starts hunting down whoever is Unicron's enemies. That's what makes the most sense to me. Hopefully, Hasbro, the writers for this film, follow the same kind of mindset, because really, having the Terrorcons and Maximals come from the future of the, or at least post The Last Night of the Bayverse timeline, is the only way it makes sense for Bumblebee and Rise of the Beast to fit in that continuity in any way possible. If they're just simply prequels set before 2007, then the already very broken timeline of the Bayverse and horribly muddy, messy continuity of the Bayverse just got a whole lot worse. So fingers crossed they play with the time travel element, the transwarp element of the Maximals from the future going back in time, and these guys just serving Unicron and pursuing them, and in order to continue Unicron's awakening from inside of the Earth, or whatever they plan on doing with Unicron. That's the only way this really works, in my opinion. And I'm sure there's a lot of other Transformer fans who agree with me. But the reason I showed off his face design is if you look right here, okay, the top of his head behind the mask is very, very similar to the top of the Bayverse Optimus Prime head design. And a lot of fans have been talking about that. And it is true. It is very similar. And I think that was intentional. I think that was an intentional Easter egg to help with that prevailing theory. And it's one of the biggest pieces of evidence we have for that theory. Another piece of evidence that this could be a time travel plot is the character model of Optimus Primal from Rise of the Beast specifically is very similar to the character model concept art for the canceled Transformers 6 film. And I don't mean Transformers 6 like Hasbro refers to Bumblebee as Transformers 6, at least for merchandise and such. I mean the Transformers 6, the sequel we were supposed to get to follow up on Transformers The Last Night, where Unicron awakens, and we were supposedly going to get Maximals and stuff in that. This figure is fully articulated. Head is on a ball joint. Neck is also on a ball joint, and just be wary, guys. I know on mine, the neck joint is very, not so much very loose, but comes off very easily on mine. When I opened the box on my Scourge for the first time, the head wasn't even attached to the figure. It was just rattling around in the box, which worried me at first before I opened it, but then once I saw it was just, you know, it popped off the ball joint, I was like, oh, okay. I was worried that the figure itself was broken in there. Luckily, it wasn't. But strange things happen, as we know. Fully articulated shoulders, and I really like the shoulder articulation. So you have this little bit, you have this swivel joint right here, you have this hinge joint right here, but you also have this hinge joint, you have the shoulder pads on a hinge, which are pretty cool, upper bicep, single jointed elbows, each finger articulates at the top knuckle, which we covered earlier, which is unfortunate. On this arm, same articulation on the shoulders, upper bicep, single jointed elbow, nothing at the wrist, mostly due to the mechanic with the sword, and you do have the option to have the blade fold up to the side, or at least the rear part of the blade, like so. You've got a waist swivel, hips, upper thigh, single jointed knees, ankle joints, side ankle joints, and that's pretty much for articulation in his robot mode. Transformation with this figure is actually kind of interesting. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the back. We're going to pull on this back section here. We're going to fold that out, and then we're going to extend on these double joints right here all the way out. Extend this piece, extend that piece, open up these door sections on his back, and now it's kind of like he's got a pair of wings, which is kind of cool. We're going to rotate his legs all the way around on those thigh joints. We're going to extend the knees all the way. And then we're going to come down here to the feet. We're going to rotate this to the side. We're going to rotate this foot joint here on that side. And then we're going to fold that all the way in like so. There's a peg on the inside of this foot. We're going to fold that out, and that'll be where the feet peg in together. Do the same thing over here. Rotate out, rotate down, and then rotate all the way in and peg that foot in. Next, we're going to just peg those feet together. And as we're doing that, there are two pegs on the inner part of the waist there. We're just going to peg those into the peg holes on the side of what was the outer part of the thigh. And there's that section all done. Next, we're going to come to the shoulders. We're going to fold these sections kind of up like so. And then we're going to rotate and untab from the side of the truck these arm sections. And while you're doing that, you just want to kind of make sure that this arm is just sticking out. And this is what I was talking about earlier with just the arms just sticking out of the back of the truck. And that's just because the arms are going to be sticking out of the back of the truck, which not my favorite feature of this figure's alt mode specifically. Next, we're going to come to this arm over here, do the same thing, make sure you straighten up that shoulder, rotate that arm around, but as you're doing that, make sure you pull and extend on all of those extra joints. Pull that sword as far out as you can so it'll line up properly, and then this piece is going to tab into the inner part of the leg there to straighten in and kind of more secure that back leg section and also kind of secure where that arm goes. Just make some minor adjustments like so right there. And then the arms should be tucked in kind of like so. And again, like I said, hands are sticking out of the back, which we'll show off again when we've just about finished the truck mode. Come over here to the chest, untab it from the side. You've got this little side hinge right here. We're going to rotate the front wheels out from the inner chest cavity. And as we do that, turn this to the side on this hinge, bring this forward. That is going to be the front grille, of course, of the truck mode. And then you'll notice the top of these shoulder sections here are part of that front grille. So we're just going to kind of line that up as best as we can. There are a couple of little tabs in these wheel sections that are going to tab in to those shoulder sections to secure where they're supposed to go. And then we bring this section down with the rest of the front of the grille. This piece right here tabs in right there like so. I know why it's not lining up properly. Fold out these two front bits right there as part of the front bumper. And now we can line up and start tabbing things into place properly. Rotate that forward on that hinge. There we go. Now we've got the proper front of the truck all done. And bring these side panels down. Bring those side panels down. And while we do that, rotate his smokestacks up. Click those into place. And then last step is to take his cannon here. We are going to split it in half. Rotate it in an angle where you have these peg holes right here facing down. And those two peg holes are going to peg on right here. So you just take this bit and you just add them on. And there we go. There is Scourge in his awesome truck mode. And it is a really, really great truck design. And speaking of that truck design, that's just one more similarity between this and the Bayverse timeline Optimus Prime. This is very, very similar to the trucks that Optimus turns into in the Bayverse timelines. More closer to the truck design he had in the first trilogy rather than Age of Extinction and The Last Knight, but very similar nonetheless. And then, of course, he's got his Terrorcon emblem right there. And then under the chains on his grill, he's got all of the other emblems on there as well. And I absolutely love, love, love that Hasbro got all of those details on the grill. That is just absolutely incredible. And for comparison, here we have Scourge with Battle Trap from Rise of the Beasts. And here he is with Freezer. And now, I didn't put Freezer in cannon mode. I actually put Freezer in his gun mode. And that's because there's this really cool thing you can do with Freezer when you put him in gun mode while Scourge is in truck mode. Now, you're going to want to do everything except for putting the arms, you know, the front arms right here. And except for bringing out the peg for the other figures to hold. So what you do is you come over here to the back of Scourge. These pegs on the inside of his forearms, we're going to peg on these pegs right here. So what you do is you take Freezer, you just kind of line him up off the back, and you use that awesome articulation of Freezer to your advantage to line up those parts. And then you plug him onto the back of Scourge. Which, that's really cool. I really like that a lot. I hope maybe that we see this at some point in Rise of the Beasts. Maybe he's pursuing an Autobot or Maximal, and then someone tries to give that character backup by pursuing Scourge, and then just, you got Freezer just posted up on the back of Scourge, ready to take them on. Or maybe the Autobots and Maximals are pursuing Scourge, and, you know, again, Freezer's ready to help take them on. Regardless, I think that's a really cool feature. And as awesome as this play feature is, I really, truly hope we actually get to see that on screen in the movie. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's review featuring the new Transformers Studio Series 101, the first figure of the 100s in Studio Series. Or at least numbered hundreds, because again, of course, we've been past 100 figures for a while now in Studio Series. Stay tuned for more Transformers reviews, stay tuned for more Rise of the Beast content, and are you getting more and more excited like I am, or are you just being cautiously optimistic? Let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe, follow us on social media, check out some of our other content here on Bay 12, and in case you're visiting in town or local, come by our store inside the Shops at Willow Bend Mall in Order 66 Multiverse in Plano, Texas. We'll see you guys later, we'll see you another time. Transform and roll out.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.